I've returned from Gamescom and spent the last weekend bathing my fingers in ice. Not because I burned them on the boiling hot bratwurst, but because they are still recovering from a punishing session with Cuphead. Yes, this cartoon caper may look like something out of the 1930s, but it plays like a game from the 1980s. One of those punishing run-and-gun platformers where even the tiniest mistake would throw you back to the title screen. So please think of my traumatized fingers as I talk you through 7 ways Cuphead is going to totally destroy you. Enjoy the relative tranquility of this grassy field as it's about to become a war zone. Your aim is to simply make it all the way to the right, and the game's aim is to make sure you're pummeled every step of the way. There are evil sunflowers falling from the sky, spiky balls bouncing up and down, evil mushrooms and giant piranha plants snapping at your heels. There's even a plant spitting out flaming seeds. Why is a plant spitting out fire? The primary destroyer of plants. Just take it as proof of how messed up this world is. And there's a special circle of hell reserved for the helicopter acorns. If you jump, you get churned up by the rotor blades and die. If you stay on the ground, the acorn falls and crushes your skull. This is like a cross between the Chelsea Flower Show and one of the Saw movies. What's more, the level feels way more busy and interesting than it did when we played it at E3 in 2016. I'd applaud the extra work that's been put into it, but again, that won't heal my poor fingers. What really gets to you in a level like this is the relentlessness of it all. Enemies respawn endlessly, so you can't just stand your ground in a safe part of the screen and hope to shoot yourself a path for freedom. With the demonic sunflowers in constant pursuit, you've got no option but to keep on moving. The boss stage may throw much bigger threats at you, but the sheer volume of things you face in these side-scrolling areas means it's never a walk in the park. Unless everything in your local park is trying to kill you too. If the side-scrolling stages offer a regulated level of ass-kicking, then the bosses are more about escalation. Each new beast has several stages to the fight, so just as you learn to overcome one set of attacks, it basically transforms into a whole new fight with all new patterns to learn. The best example is this slime ball, called Goopy Legrand. He starts off as a relatively benign bouncing ball. You can slide under him with a dash attack and duck under his armpit when he morphs his body into a knockout punch. Batter him enough and he grows into his larger form, Goopy Le Very Grand, I guess. The fight continues the theme of horrible death by crushing, but asks you to be even quicker with the dashes and ducks as Goopy's attack fills up much more of the screen. Deliver that sweet, sweet killing blow to his bloated bod and he's crushed by his own gravestone, which then attempts to add you to its list of things I crushed today. As you slip under that tumbling stone, it's another exaggeration of the stages that came before, requiring the fastest dodging yet to avoid squishing Cuphead into a saucer pancake. I love how each of Goopy's form pushes your dexterity further than before. By the end of the scrap, you feel like a genuine dash master. Well, your brain does. Your fingers are too blistered to feel much at all. One of the cruelest features is only a small thing, but it has a big impact. Whenever you die, the game shows how far you were towards completing the level or boss fight, represented as a series of checkpoints along a line. Now, maybe this was designed to boost morale. You see how close you are to the end and you're spurred on to dive straight back in and make that final push. Or maybe you see it the way I did, as the game gloating that you came this close to success but still managed to blow it, you big loser. Even worse is when you've been pumping bullets into a boss for what feels like hours and then the line shows that you've hardly made any progress at all. Listen, Cuphead, I know that I'm rubbish at playing you, but that doesn't mean you should rub my face in it. Have some manners, jeez. One of the things that is definitely going to mess you up is how randomized each boss fight is. Each villain has a limited number of moves, but the order they perform them switches in every fight, and each attack itself has several variations. Take these dueling frogs, for example. In the first stage of the fight, they can hit you with boxing gloves, spit out a swarm of electric bugs that slowly descend on you, or split up and attack you from either side. Because you don't know which move is heading your way, you have to stay on your toes. Even when you learn the animation tells, which are tiny hints of which attack is coming next, you don't know how that attack is going to play out. If it's the boxing gloves, you're going to have to jump and duck to pilot Cuphead through them. And if it's the bugs, they can turn up in loads of different combinations, so it's not like there's a safe spot to hide in. So many of the classic games that Cuphead takes inspiration from forced us to learn rigid attack patterns. Having to adapt to slightly different danger every time you enter a fight makes for a far more thrilling encounter, and it raises the chances you'll throw the controller out of the window. For the next point, you may have noticed that I'm using two different weapons throughout this video. Cuphead can switch between a stream of single blue bullets or a spread of red bullets. You don't have to pick up special power-ups to earn the weapons, you can just switch on the fly. The challenge is knowing when to switch. You see, while the spread of red bullets increases the number of times you can hit enemies, the shots themselves are weaker and have shorter range. If you've got the guts, you can get right up close to a boss and pepper them with shots, but will that be enough to counteract the lower damage they do? The blue bullet, on the other hand, won't hit as often, but if you can keep the enemy in your sight, they do a lot more damage. Having played the game for a while, it seems that the best choice is to switch between the two as and when you need them. If a boss fires loads of projectiles at you, for example, it's probably a good time to be switching to red to quickly clear the screen. If you're fighting something like Gloopy, who is quite large and has no long-range attacks, the blues are your friend. Knowing when to gamble on each shot is the key to survival. A shorter battle is an easier battle after all, but it's entirely down to you to nail the balance. No pressure. Occasionally, the planets align and you manage to actually finish a level. You see the giant words "knockout" appear on the screen and you feel like a gaming god. And then you see the ranking screen and you're reminded that you are a gaming goofball. That victory could have been faster, cleaner, and meaner. I'm all for having room for improvement, but that's just mean. You're rated on all kinds of things. The time it took, the number of health points you held onto, and whether you landed the super meter attacks. Perhaps the hardest objective is parrying. When you're jumping, you can press jump again to slap away pink projectiles. The window of opportunity is incredibly tight, and messing it up means, well, you're getting a face full of pink projectile. Putting yourself in harm's way just to show off with a parry seems suicidal to me, but if you want to get the best grades, it's another example of Cuphead taking no prisoners. The hardest thing of all about Cuphead? Well, it should be obvious from looking at it. For all the tiny ideas that add up to make this the most challenging action game in years, it has a graphical style you won't be able to give up on. There is so much character dripping from every hand-drawn frame that you'll want to beat every challenge just to see what beautiful new thing is around the corner. Not to mention the amount of time it has taken the team to draw all these images. It feels rude to just give up during level 1 and to leave the rest of the game unseen. Because of the way it looks, you basically spend the whole game trying to fight off the temptation to look around the screen. All the cute details hidden in the background are trying to distract you from seeing the deadly wave of attacks coming your way. Of course, it means it's absolutely spectacular for spectators, although in my case, anyone watching should be prepared to hear a flood of 18-rated language. Needless to say, Cuphead is easily modified into something much ruder. There's never been a game that looks quite like Cuphead, where simply seeing more of the game is its own reward. Your fingers may be screaming come the end of the play session, but your eyes will be the happiest they've ever been. Whether you're a platforming veteran forged in the flames of Mega Man and Contra, or a newcomer drawn to its quirky art style, Cuphead is going to make you very happy. As hard as it is, I've loved what I've played on it, and think you will too. So why not let me know in the comments if you're feeling brave enough to take it on? Why not recommend some classic platformers people can play to help fellow viewers prepare their reflexes? If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for loads more Cuphead, as well as all the other Xboxy goodness, and give this video a like. I'm gonna go rest my aching hands some more, but I'll see you again soon. Bye!